everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. For those of you who've been following my podcast, Smart Career Planning, you know that coaching is something very important to me. Also, a couple of months ago, I wrote an article titled 3 Books You Should Be Reading for Your Professional Growth. Now, one of the books I highlighted was Presence by Amy Cuddy. One of Cuddy's beliefs is fake it until you become it. She also shared a lot of examples as to how you can work on your posture to come across more present, more warm, as well as appear more confident in front of people. Now, in order for me to implement all of her tips, I need to have an omniscient view of myself, what I'm doing, how do I come across in front of people, what to do right then and there, and what not to do, and this is how you come across right now. So I need a third person to tell me what to do, which means I need coaching. And that is why I reach out to Pamela Prather from pamelaprather.com. Now, she's an incredible professional, and I'm going to read the description of her. Pamela is a professor, coach, workshop facilitator, as well as a public speaker. Not only does she work with directors and actors to design voices and dialects for productions, she also works with executives both individually and in groups to help them access their sparkle and use the presence and gravitas to further their communication goals. Now, without further ado, here's my interview with Pamela. Hi everyone, this is Helen Chow from Smart Career Planning. I'm really excited to have someone very special with us today. And from my previous podcast, I've talked about the importance of presence, especially when it comes to job interviews or if you have a very important presentation to do. How do you present yourself so that you can immediately capture the attention of the room? So I'm really excited to have Pamela Prather with us. So Pamela, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Helen, great to be with you. Great to be here. And I'm so happy you invited me to be part of your audience or to speak with your audience here today. So a little bit about me. I know presence is sort of a buzzword these days, and everything happens there's kind of a path that leads us here, right? So I sort of started out wanting to be an actor in New Mexico at the age of 5 or 6, and my parents didn't know what to do with me. Ultimately, I ended up with an undergraduate degree in broadcast journalism, which was the practical choice. But I couldn't get that bug out of me. The performer wanted to perform, and so I finally did my MFA in acting at UCLA. And still the voice thing kept coming up. I was the TA for my voice teacher there, and ended up, though I finally did some acting in New York City, ended up doing a lot of teaching and was taught at NYU and then was at Yale School of Drama for 8 years. And now I'm a tenure track professor at SUNY Purchase, which is a liberal arts school here in New York. And so I've worked with actors primarily because I wanted to be an actor, but I've always had a love of voice, of presence, of communicating. And so again, things sort of unfold and happen. And so I've done a lot of, and I still coach professionally actors. But over the years, the last sort of 15 years or so, I started getting these opportunities to work with executives and started designing my work to be about executive coaching with a background in acting. And so I call it actor skills for executives. And I'm not talking about bad acting because nobody's interested in that. But if you think about it, we all play different roles all of the time, right? And so if you, Helen, for example, think about how you would talk to let's say, your best friend gives you a call on the phone, right? And how would you say, if she called you up, what would your voice sound like? So imagine she calls you right now and she says, "Hey, what are you up to this weekend?"
I think I would say, "Hey, what's up? How's it going?"
Exactly.
But that's not how I'm going to pick up the phone when someone calls me.
Yeah, right. I know we mostly text these days, but what if, let's change the role. You get a call from a potential client, somebody that you're going to be potentially working with. It's really exciting. It's a new proposal, and they say, So tell us a little bit about you, Helen. What are you doing? What are some of your success stories?
Mhm.
How would you respond to that?
Well, I first will pick up the phone, Helen. This is Helen, and then I'll go into talking about I'm a serial entrepreneur. I have multiple businesses. One is a recruitment business. The other one is career coaching, and I have
Perfect. I'm
yep.
going to pause you there, but did you notice the tone in your voice was totally different in both of those cases?
Yes, even
Right?
even my heart rate too is different.
And you were completely yourself,
Hmm.
right? That was authentically Helen.
Hmm.
We have all of these versions of ourselves. And just like an actor plays these characters really well, I help business people play themselves really well.
Mm.
And the version of themselves that they want, their brand, if you will, that they want to put out to the world.
Hmm.
And so we work together to help design that, create that, and often they work with different other coaches, right?
Hmm.
So my specialty, my niche is to help them take the work they've done perhaps with other coaches, with their HR department, with different people, and bring that into the world authentically through their how they communicate in large group settings, small group settings, with their teams, and also media. I
Hmm.
help them with media prep as well and those sorts of things. So yeah, that's a little bit about my background and what I do. And so I am coaching incredible, talented, amazing
Hmm.
individuals. And it's so rewarding for me
Yeah.
when they feel those shifts and successes. Yeah. So I love what I do.
Good, good, good. So now when it comes to coaching, do you feel like there are elements about a person that you coach? So say for example, if someone have a problem, or maybe not so much of a problem, but their area of improvement is how to project their voice, or maybe their posture. Are there's very separate coaching that you provide for someone, or is that pretty all inclusive? And how do they interrelate?
Those are great questions. And so let me tell you a little bit about how the coaching works.
Hmm.
So when I work with my clients, I would say my primary types of clients would be, C-suite executives. Those are my main clients at the moment. But I also do a retreat and training. So I've been brought in to be part of like maybe a group of 12 or 15, 20 people in a retreat, something like that, where there's a small group of VPs, the CEO, that sort of thing. And I help them with presence, right?
Hmm.
With their voices and how they project and how they interact and work with a PowerPoint presentation. I also have solopreneurs that I work
Hmm.
with, right? So somebody like you
Hmm.
might be a client that I'd have. And then I have been brought in as well for a couple of times for these sort of large TED Talk type things,
Yeah.
motivational type things. And I love doing that as well. But with my C suite executives, which is sort of the primary area that I work with, it's very boutique. So
Hmm.
you mentioned this idea of like, what if it's a voice challenge? What if it's a projection challenge? Or what if it's uh, another thing that you didn't mention was mumbling. That's a big thing.
Uh,
Mumbling. Everyone texts like,
yeah. Yeah.
so I bring out this little tool. Now, your listeners can't see this, but the people who are watching it can see that. And my executives are like, what is that? And really, when I'm teaching them, this is my mouth, mouthy mouth. And when I'm teaching them, I learned this, by the way. I will credit the person who most first introduced this to me, and his name's Doug Honoraff. Doug Honoraff is a very cool coach. He coaches movies and films and stuff like that. But anyway, this is the shows the alveolar ridge, the gum ridge. I teach them all about the anatomy. It's a quick lesson, but they love it. It's cool. And how the tongue works. And we do some cool exercises. So right now, listeners, I'm showing this funky little plastic mouth, and it shows the people. I mean, I can't take my head off and show you what it
All
looks
right.
like. It helps us to learn how to use the tongue and the lips and the muscles, because it's like getting fit,
Hmm.
right? We are doing sit-ups for our mouths. And I teach these kinds of very technical exercises that my executives can do on their drives, shower in the
Mm.
morning. They're little 3 to 5 minute breaks
Hmm.
that help and make a difference. And I've had fabulous success stories with former and recovering mumblers.
Good. Now, the other thing I am really curious about if someone has a pitch, like a startup pitch to pitch to
Mhm.
potential investors, it is. I think it's extremely stressful, and at that point, someone will see a need. Oh, maybe I'm not the best presenter in the world, or even a C-level executive going to a TED Talk. They can see that they may need some they need to work on something. But how about a normal individual, maybe like the early uber successful entrepreneur, or maybe even a VP of engineering, for example? They feel like they're smart, they can be very charismatic because their friends tell them. Who would come? I can. There's a gap between those people, right? What kind of clients do you have, and what leads them to come to you and get help?
Well, I'll say that I've been very fortunate because most of my clients have been through word of mouth,
Mm,
right? So it is from working with different, executives that they recommend me to somebody else. So often, one of my really dear clients that I adore, and I worked with her early on before her company went public, is Sheila Marcello, who is the CEO of Care.com, which is a
mm,
fantastic company.
right.
And she and I worked together voice coaching early on in her career when she was just, going from kind of local media into now she's quite the face of her company as well as a wonderful spokesman for women in general and Filipino women as well. She's sometimes I'll end up working with somebody from the very beginning and then kind of grow with them over
Mm-hmm.
time, and then they kind of outgrow me. They learn what they need to learn, and then recommend me to others in
Mm-hmm.
similar ways or who are in similar places. So, like I said earlier, the solopreneur market is
Mm-hmm.
something I definitely fall into and work with people of that. Now it's it's always a value proposition, right? And
Mm-hmm.
people are, looking when you're in a part of a big company and they're footing the bill, it's a little bit easier to stomach, oh wow, I'm being invested in, I'm getting a coach
Mm-hmm.
uh, to help me kick it to the next level. When you are a solopreneur,
Mm-hmm.
you and I can talk about this because we understand that we're investing in ourselves and putting ourselves out there. I call
Mm-hmm.
us entrepreneurs, by the way. But anyway, we are, so when we're investing in coaching for ourselves or
Mm-hmm.
investing in rebranding or any of that sort of stuff, it's a little bit different than being part of a multi-billion dollar, multi-million dollar company, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's where it comes into really doing your homework and making sure that this is the right person for you. So I often offer a free, coaching or complimentary session to see if it's a match because it's a two-way street, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't expect to be the perfect coach for every person. And just like not every person's the perfect client for me. And I know lots of people and I will recommend other people, I'm happy to do that. So it needs to be a good match so that the work can happen. And, so I'd say, again, it's probably just a little bit more of a, oh, do I want to spend the money? Is it a good investment for me if it's somebody who's kind of running their own thing or just looking at going public, hopefully, and that sort of stuff. So
Good.
yeah, I mean, but it's the same kind of coaching, no matter whether you're a solopreneur
Mm-hmm.
or a CEO. It's really I get in with people individually. And like I said, that's the primary type of coaching that I do.
Good.
And then what happens, which is really cool, is they'll often bring me in to work with their team. And we'll
Mm.
find something that then aligns with the mission, aligns with where I was able to help that particular, VP or CEO. And he's like, can you work with my sales team? And
Mm.
one of the cool things that Sheila brought me in for, uh, which I had this on my website. It was a really, really, really fun. But she brought me in for Care at Work to do a presentation. And this was just kind of one of those things I was saying, like a situation where I'm brought in as a TED Talky type thing
Mm-hmm.
for HR professionals. And there were a couple hundred of them. And that
Mm.
was in New York City at a really cool space. And so then I took them through a kind of a high level, but experiential vocal warm up, experiencing, how you can shift your body, your energy, your presence in a
Mm.
period of not a very long time, and that at least you get a taste of it, right?
Good. Now a lot of questions. But one of them is, let me see. Okay, so you mentioned something about, you have the free consultation just to gauge how the person should work with you. Now, on my end, I think I know I need a lot of coaching, but for me to go around and check out different coaches, what kind of questions, how should I vet a potential coach so I can find someone that works well with me?
Those are also fabulous questions. And now I see why you do what you do. But I would say, asking questions of yourself,
Mm,
right? What do I need? Where do I see holes in my training, in my performance, right? Uh, in a larger situation, part of what I will do is have a, a review of peers or colleagues, right,
mm,
as part of the training, and I offer that as an option, right? Sometimes people are like, you know what, I can get a gauge myself. I don't really need to do that. But sometimes other people like to have um, maybe a colleague, maybe if it's a VP level person, sometimes somebody who's a superior who's watching their work and who can see the work shift or can see some maybe blind spots, right?
mhm,
But in either case, knowing some of what you're looking for, right?
mhm.
People, and I'll ask questions too, so I'll help you figure that out. But part of a complimentary session is understanding what you're looking for and can I help you deliver that? So we'll look into that. And I think any coach you're looking to hire to train you for a period of time or to work with you should be able to help co-design a program and help you understand what your needs are. Um, so that would be the starting point.
Good, good, good. Now, how about, let me take a look at my questions here. How about your clients? What do you think they get out of working with you? I think some of the takeaway points I'm hearing so far is, changing the way you project yourself, your presence, maybe posture. But are there any wow moment where they walk in, they really didn't expect to get out of X, Y, and Z, and they walk away and just completely have their minds blown.
Yeah, that there's almost always a wow moment when it happens different times during the training. As I like to say, if you're Oprah, you can afford a personal trainer every day,
Mm-hmm.
but the rest of us, we have to work between the training, right?
Yeah.
So I really want to leave people with nuggets and actionable items,
Mm-hmm.
things that they can work on between the training. But if they get an aha moment in the training, then it can be extremely rewarding. So let me back up and share with you probably about four things. I
Mm-hmm.
was thinking about this because you and I talked a little before, and I
Mm-hmm.
think there are four things that I think people walk away with.
Mm-hmm.
One is they realize why actors spend 3 to 4 years in training voice and speech.
Mm-hmm.
An MFA program like Yale School of Drama, where I was, we spend 3 years in voice and speech training, and they're basically getting it 5 days a week for 3 years. In the undergrad BFA program that I'm in now, we have, again, these are highly competitive programs. We
Mm-hmm.
audition 800 and take 20 in the program I teach now. And so these kids spend 4 years again in this program, a little bit longer,
Mm-hmm.
and get voice and speech 4 days a week until their senior year, in which they get it twice a week. So this is breath and presence and sound. And when I say voice, I'm not talking about singing. I'm talking about how you sound in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So helping executives go like, whoa, okay, wow, and I'm going to commit 4 months to this. And I will say, I do have some clients. I have clients who will just get into the process of learning and love it and realize it's endless
Mm-hmm.
for most of my clients. And so these are the ones that I've had for like 3 years or 4. They keep coming back, and I
Mm-hmm.
love them. I love them. They're my special ones. But I mean, they're all special. But the ones who work with me for the typical, I would say, is that 3 or 4 months, and then they may come back a few months later for kind of another intensive or tune-ups or on call as necessary. But that is a big commitment when you're an executive and you have a
Mm-hmm.
really crazy busy life, right? And so then realizing that is one takeaway. The second thing is the value of practice.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I really help them get that practice will result in desired outcome.
Mm-hmm.
And so if they can do conscious practice with me, they will see a difference. They will see a difference. And I provide, MP3 files, a Google Drive, Google Docs, this sort of thing, so that there's always a place for them to go and grab some stuff, throw it on your phone, listen on your headset, get feedback, get training, virtual training, which I think helps build and support the actual sessions that we have, which are both virtual and in person,
Mm-hmm.
depending on the program that we work with. So then I take them so the third takeaway is they really realize through this practice and through this realization that it takes time, it's not going to happen in one session, is that they move from unconscious incompetence,
Mm-hmm.
The ladder of competence, right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't know what they don't know. To, in one session, I will definitely get them to realize a place of conscious incompetence, which drives people nuts. My executives, it's like, now I know what I didn't know, and I can't do it right now, and it's driving me crazy. So I talk them through that, and then we go from there to conscious competence. And so my training with my clients primarily is in the world of conscious incompetence through conscious competence. It means they have to think about doing it, but they're able to begin executing it. And so they're in this place. And then the desire is to move ultimately to that place of unconscious competence where you are just doing it. It becomes second nature, right?
Wow.
Number three. And then number four is that my executives feel that there is an individual takeaways that are tailored to them. And so when we start and I say, what would be success for you in 4 months?
Mm-hmm.
You'll look back and say, that was a good investment. And so we look at what would that look like, and then we revisit that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's realization that the training was tailored to them, and they got what they wanted and needed out of it. And that makes us both feel good.
Nice. Now, how about it sounds like there are a lot of science behind what you do and the way you coach your clients, but are there any hard scientific proof that coaching actually works for both your clients and future clients?
Great question. Okay, so I'm a very experiential person. I like to give people experiences so they have takeaways and they can feel it in their body.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a lot of research around different types of learning, and some people agree that that is a way that people are more visual or more oral or whatever. And there are people that don't believe in that. But the way that or I should say, believe, there's science that supports both sides of that.
Mm-hmm.
But what I will say is, I feel as a teacher, as a coach, as a professor, when people feel it and experience it, it lands,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So with that in mind, before I tell you or share with you any of the science behind this, I would like to give you a little experience. Your listeners and and people who are watching the podcast can try it along with us.
Uh-huh.
And if you're driving, don't do it right now, okay? Go somewhere else and do it. You're stuck in traffic. Well, I mean, that's another topic. You choose. So here's this exercise. I'd like to invite you, Helen, to do what I call a diagnostic hum. And a diagnostic hum is something I learned from a wonderful professor up in Canada, David Lay, who teaches a work called Vibrant Voice Technique. And it's something I'm certified in and I teach as well. My clients do this. It's awesome. But David taught me this, and I love it, and I use it all the time. And it is called the diagnostic hum, because what you want to do is kind of hum up and down in your voice just to feel, what does it feel like? Okay? And so here's what it sounds like. You'll do something like this. Just low, high to low a couple of times. So try that. Good. So I can hear something and you can feel something and you kind of know what it feels like, right?
Uh-huh.
All right. We'll come back to that later. So now what I want you to do, and now this is something with my clients, I often do it standing up, but we can do it sitting down because we're sitting down right now. And a lot of my work, when I do virtual work, I will have people stand up, move around, do all kinds of stuff, move your camera, and that's a lot of fun. But you can also do. I also like to train people things that you can do sitting, different exercises, releases. So you're at your desk, you have 2 minutes. What can you do? All right. So I'm going to teach you a couple of things right now that you can do at your desk.
Okay.
All right. So the first thing, I want you to do is to squeeze your feet in your shoes or whatever they're in. Just squeeze your feet as tightly as you can. So you're really squeezing the muscles of your feet. Okay. Squeeze those muscles in your feet. And as you squeeze them, I want you to exhale while you're squeezing. So exhale all your breath. Now inhale and release your feet muscles. Now exhale and squeeze your calves, the muscles in the back of your legs. Now inhale and release your calves. Now exhale and squeeze your thighs and your bum. Good. Inhale and release. Now exhale and squeeze your belly really tight, belly muscles. Exhale. Squeeze your belly. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Exhale. Inhale and release. Now exhale and squeeze your fingers and hands really tight. Inhale and release. Now exhale and squeeze your biceps, triceps, forearms, wrists and fingers. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Exhale. Inhale, release. Now exhale, squeeze your whole body as tightly as you can. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Inhale and starfish out. And exhale and squeeze again. Exhale it all out. Exhale, exhale, exhale. Squeeze. Make yourself a tiny ball. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Inhale. Stretch yourself as big as you can. And release. Good. Now, try a diagnostic hum. Good. Do that one more time. Low to high. Excellent. Do you notice anything different?
The second one's smoother.
It is, isn't it? Right? Yeah. Okay. So tension kills vibration. And so I often use the metaphor that you can, we are like ukuleles or small violins with the capacity of a double bass or a cello. And so we want to increase our capacity for vibration, right? Because our vibration is how our voice and how our energy is perceived in the world. So if you are holding tension in your body, your vibration is smaller. And the diagnostic hum helps you go like, oh, that's why Pamela's having us do all these really funky exercises. They seem a little woo-woo, And you realize you can connect it to something concrete. And now you and I were talking about this. So the science, right? You want to know this. Well, I can do, and there have been done spectrographs, right? A spectrograph shows the dynamic range of the voice before and after some of these exercises. So you can see the increase of vocal power. And now, you and I were talking about this book, Presence.
Yes, right? I love that book. Yes.
Yeah. And I had just heard the TED Talk that Amy Cuddy had made about this. And I heard it a few weeks ago, I guess it was. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is what I do with the breath and with the voice, this starfish she called it. And I just call it a star. But I do this with the breath and in creating presence. But now I was so excited because I was like, the psychologist has done the research that shows that this actual work, this voice and breath work with this kind of this body experience, there is science now that backs up what I do. And I found it in sports before as well. Some of visualization work I teach people to do. There have been a number of research studies done on this. One I read in the Brain That Changes Itself, a really
Mm-hmm.
cool book, and it talked about this people who had worked with. So this isn't sports, but this is actual visualization, and they had worked with piano practice, right? And they had this one group work really hard practicing the piano.
Mm-hmm.
They had another group work with visualizing it without practicing, just practice, just visualize. And then they had another group that was visualizing and practicing, right? So,
Mm.
but the visualizing wasn't like, oh, I'm practicing, oh, la, la, la. No, it was, okay, I'm seeing the notes in front of me, I'm playing the notes. Like it was a very, very, very mindful practice.
Mm-hmm.
And there was pretty much equal improvement from the
Mm-hmm.
people who are practicing, just kind of practicing, like, practice as much as you want when you want or whatever. That was the direction, something like that, to
Mm-hmm.
the people who are doing a conscious, mindful visualization. Now, of course, the best of both worlds was visualizing plus practicing,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I think that again, we're seeing that there are studies that are being done and science that's being done. And in fact, I am really excited to say some of my work with laughter and voice. I'm conducting a study on right now on the efficacy of this work, and I'm presenting my results at the Performing Arts and Medical Association
Mm.
Symposium, which is in Snowmass, and that will be coming up in June this year. So
Wow.
it's a group of medical professionals who are interested in performing arts, which of course voice is part of, speaking voice, and my work on laughter and voice. I worked with a psychology professor to help me with a survey, and I'm doing studies now, more not just like it feels good, but like showing that it works.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know it works, and you
Yeah.
know, but we need more of this research, I think.
Yeah. And now I know how coaching, even just the little practice we did, I know how and why coaching works. So maybe my last question is, how do people find you? Like they need you. I need you.
All right. Well, I have a website, Pamela Prather Coaching, and it's actually pamelaprather.com. But you can find me at Pamela Prather Coaching. You can find me on Gmail, Pamela Prather. I'm on, if you just put in Pamela, Prather, Prather, you'll find me. And there's easy buttons to connect and reach out to me. And I love social media, so I'm usually on there more than I should be, but
Good. And I'll also include the link to your company's website, your coaching website, in the
so
description
much.
of this YouTube video too.
I am so happy to meet you. I really, really am. And I'm so excited about the work that you're doing and
Thank
how you're helping people find meaningful work for themselves
you.
because
Mhm.
that is so important.
Great. Well, thank you so much.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.